Now I'm going to get into the content that you're going to be presenting or covering in your group programs. So the biggest question we always get asked by people who are interested in group coaching is, how much content do I include? Or what content do I include in my group? And so it really comes down to the goal that you have for your group and what type of group that you are going to be running. So we like to break it into two different categories of types of groups: open coaching and structured programs. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what those two categories are. Now, there are some times where they overlap each other a little bit, but only you can decide which one you're leaning towards. So at first, just ask yourself these simple questions to see which way you're leaning. So when you think about group coaching, do you imagine that it's very much just like individual coaching, where you're working on someone to achieve their goals, except you're doing it with a group of people all at once? Do you see people working on and deciding their own goals during the program, even if perhaps the people all in one group have similar goals? Are you an expert that has something that you can teach? Are they coming to you for any form of knowledge or information? And also, do you like the idea of teaching a structured program where everybody's following through on the same activities and doing the same work and the same structure all together? So if you answered yes to the first two questions, you might be leaning towards an open group. Whereas the second two questions are leaning towards a structured group. So now let me get into a little bit more detail about what those two things mean. So in an open group, the topic of the coaching might be similar for everybody involved. However, they might all be wanting to work on their career, or maybe health, or losing weight, or a bad habit, or whatever the case may be. However, the individual goals and what they're working on during each session and in between the sessions is determined by the individual. So it really truly is like coaching an individual on something that they're determining they want to be coached on, except you're doing it in a group format, which we're going to get into why you would do that. But so what would open coaching look like? So first of all, they set the agenda, both the individual and the group. Your job as a coach is to guide them through the process of coaching and support them along the way. You offer accountability and you give them an opportunity to collaborate depending on how engaged the group is. The group itself sets its own goals. They're not coming into a group that you've designed that already has predetermined goals and outline. They're the ones that are setting it. Again, I've mentioned before, they're most likely going to have a similar focus. So they're all there potentially working on something similar, but in their own way, in their own time, for their own purposes. And a lot of times, the people who are participating in a group like this might already be advanced in their skill set. So if you are offering some form of expertise, they might be in a similar field, but they're already advanced. So you're not there to teach them, you're there to guide them as they implement the things that they're looking to do in their lives. And so in contrast, a structured program is when the people coming to the group want to learn something. And it's something that you know how to teach them, something where you can give them a step-by-step process that works towards goals that are predetermined. So in this case, your role as a coach is both to support them and facilitate the process of the group, but also you are a subject matter expert. They are coming to you because there's something that you are offering them. In some cases, it's not that you necessarily are the expert. You might be presenting information that another expert has already created, but most of the time they are coming to you because there's something specifically that they're going to be learning that you can teach them. So they're also coming to the group because of the shared wisdom that they're going to receive from other participants in the group. So depending on how highly engaged your group is, they're going to get more from one another. So the more highly engaged, the more they're going to have other people who are participating in the group that are providing information or expertise or even coaching or some form of collaboration and additional benefits. And again, we will get more into detail on that later. So what you would want to be looking at as far as a structured group is how could you design a program based on the knowledge that you have? And as I mentioned, sometimes it also means the knowledge that someone else has. For example, there are times that people will create a program that's based off of someone else's book. And you do have to be careful in some aspects as far as copywriting material. However, can be something as simple as teaching a well-known program that everybody wants to go through together in a group. But in most cases, people who do structured programs are creating their own signature program and teaching it to the people who sign up for the group. So a higher level version of this type of group is a mastermind, where you are truly teaching them a very structured program, is also very highly engaged. Now, in a structured program, it's a little bit easier to have much larger groups because the focus is on content, and a lot of times they're not as engaged. So there's not as much individual sharing. So you can imagine if you had 100 people all trying to share, it would take a very long time and be quite overwhelming. And we're going to get more into the size of groups in another video, but just know that the structured type of content does give you the opportunity to reach a larger number of people